There comes a rare, almost sacred moment in life when everything inside you falls silent. The noise of the world fades. The endless need to chase, to prove, to understand, it simply dissolves. You are left standing in a strange stillness that feels both unsettling and peaceful. And in that silence something begins to move. A faint whisper, softer than breath yet impossible to ignore. It does not come from outside. It rises from within. It is not a voice you hear with your ears, but one you feel with your soul. Some call it intuition, others call it fate. But perhaps it is something deeper. The universe speaking in its oldest language, the language of symbols and feeling. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to see how far this conversation is reaching. Now, let us listen. Have you ever met someone who made time feel different? Someone who looked at you and suddenly the world tilted slightly off its axis. You could not explain why their presence stirred something ancient inside you. It was not drama, not infatuation, it was recognition, as if a forgotten part of you had finally remembered itself. This is not ordinary love. It is not the kind that burns fast and disappears into smoke. It is something quieter, more mysterious, a force that does not come to complete you but to awaken you. Carl Jung once suggested that love, in its truest form, is not about finding another half. It is about meeting a mirror, a soul who reflects the hidden corners of your own. When that reflection appears, it does not come to comfort you. It comes to reveal you, and that is where the real journey begins. At first it feels magical. The connection seems effortless, destined. There are coincidences that feel too precise to be random. You think of them and they message you. A song plays, and its lyrics echo what you both feel. The timing feels divine. Jung had a word for this, synchronicity. When inner meaning and outer events align in a way that defies logic. But he did not mean it as superstition. He meant it as the soul's symbolic way of speaking through reality itself. So when such moments occur, the question is not, what does this mean logically? But rather, what is my soul trying to tell me? Maybe this person came not to stay, but to show you something you forgot. Maybe their presence is not the reward, but the message. We live in a world that constantly teaches us to measure love in surface terms. Chemistry, compatibility, timing. But true love is not born on the surface. It begins in the unseen, in that silent language that only the soul understands. And to hear it, one must first become quiet. It takes courage to pause the mind and truly listen. Because sometimes the whisper of the universe will not tell you what you want to hear. It will tell you what you need to face. That is why many turn away from it. They prefer certainty over depth, convenience over transformation. But if you have ever loved deeply, you know that true love does not always arrive as comfort. It often comes as a storm that rearranges your inner landscape. Why? Because it comes to reveal the parts of yourself you have hidden. Jung called this hidden side of us the shadow, everything we reject, deny, or fear within ourselves. When love enters your life with genuine force, it awakens these buried regions. The person you love becomes a mirror, reflecting not only your beauty but your wounds. Have you ever wondered why certain people trigger such intense emotions in you? Why one person's silence feels unbearable, while another's approval feels like sunlight? It is because love touches the places within you that have remained unhealed. True love does not protect you from those places. It leads you straight into them. At first, we project our ideal onto the other. We believe we have found the one who will heal every wound, understand every silence, fulfill every dream. But that is not love, that is projection. The psyche's way of showing us what we have not yet integrated within ourselves. And then, one day, the veil falls. You begin to see the person not as the fantasy you built, but as they truly are, flawed human complex. And that moment, though painful, is sacred, because that is when real love begins. It is easy to love the dream. It takes depth to love the truth. When projection fades, you stand before a mirror stripped of illusion. The question is no longer, who is this person? But what is this relationship showing me about myself? Do I seek control because I fear abandonment? Do I crave affection because I have forgotten how to give it to myself? Do I blame because I am afraid to look inward? These are not comfortable questions, but they are the ones that free us. Jung believed that every encounter of true significance serves a psychological purpose. The people who challenge us most are often the ones who carry the keys to our hidden rooms. The pain they stir is not punishment, it is awakening. Love, then, is not a fairy tale. It is an alchemy. Two souls meet, not to escape themselves, but to burn away what is false. When the projection finally dissolves, and both people choose to stay, not to possess, but to grow, something sacred begins to unfold. The relationship becomes a living field of transformation. Every argument becomes a mirror. Every moment of silence becomes a doorway to understanding. Every shadow, when faced with awareness, becomes a bridge to wholeness. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, of integrating the conscious and the unconscious, light and shadow, reason and instinct. And love, when real, accelerates this journey. It is not easy. Many relationships end when projection fades, because it feels like the magic has died. But the truth is, that is when the magic was finally about to begin, because that is when you meet not the idea of love, but love itself. Think of it like this. The universe does not send people to fill your emptiness. It sends them to show you where it lives. When you meet someone who truly stirs your soul, ask yourself, what is this connection trying to awaken in me? What is this mirror revealing? Is it showing me my capacity for love or my fear of it? Sometimes the person who breaks your heart is the same one who opens it. And maybe, just maybe, that is the point. We are not meant to avoid pain at all costs. We are meant to understand it, to listen to it, to see what it wants to teach us. True love is not blind. It is deeply aware. It sees your flaws, your wounds, your walls, and stays long enough to help you see them too. But even that staying is not possession. It is presence. That kind of love whispers, not shouts. It holds you without clinging. It reveals without demanding. It mirrors your chaos, but it also invites you to find peace inside it. And when you listen closely, you will notice something. The whisper of the universe never tells you who to love or how long it will last. It only tells you to pay attention. Pay attention to the patterns that repeat. Pay attention to the emotions that rise again and again. Pay attention to the way certain encounters stir your spirit more than others, because those are not accidents. Those are messages. Love is not a coincidence, it is communication. When you feel drawn to someone beyond logic, when your heart recognizes a soul before your mind catches up, you are standing at the threshold of transformation. Whether that connection lasts a lifetime or just a moment, it will leave a mark that reshapes how you love, how you see, how you exist. That is why true love is sacred. It is not about the story you tell others. It is about the story it rewrites within you. So if you are in that place where you feel something stirring in the silence, if the universe seems to whisper through dreams, songs or coincidences, do not rush to define it. Just listen. Because love in its truest form is not a promise, it is a passage. It does not arrive to make your life easier. It arrives to make your soul whole. And in that journey, every joy and every heartbreak is part of the same whisper calling you home, to yourself. So ask yourself tonight, when all is quiet, what is love trying to reveal to me right now? What part of me is asking to be seen, to be healed, to be understood? Because sometimes the person you think you are falling in love with is not just a person. They are the mirror through which your soul finally meets itself. And when that happens, when you truly listen to that whisper, your entire understanding of love changes forever. It becomes less about finding the right person and more about becoming the person who can love with awareness, courage and truth. And that is where the real journey begins. When Jung spoke about love, he never described it as a sweet surrender. He saw it as a confrontation a sacred mirror through which the soul sees its own chaos. That's where we left off, standing before that mirror, realizing that love isn't about the other person, it's about the parts of you that awaken in their presence, the ones you didn't even know were sleeping, when someone stirs something powerful in you, a spark, a wound, a longing, and it's not coincidence. They become the vessel through which your unconscious speaks, and this is where most people get lost. They think they've found the one, but what they've really found is the one who carries their projections, the shadow they never faced, the love they never gave themselves. Think of it, that person you couldn't let go of. Maybe it wasn't love you were holding on to. Maybe it was the version of yourself that only existed in their eyes. You were chasing not them, but the reflection of who you hoped to be, seen, desired, worthy, whole, and when they left, it wasn't just heartbreak. It was the disappearance of that mirror. The silence that followed wasn't about them. It was your own soul asking, who am I without this reflection? Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Love, then, is fate in disguise, a teacher dressed as desire. Every attraction, every heartbreak, every unexplainable pull is a message written in emotional ink. And if you listen closely, love doesn't just reveal who someone is, it reveals you. When two people fall in love, something ancient comes alive, something beyond words or logic. It's not two egos meeting, it's two energies remembering. Some call it chemistry, some call it destiny. Jung called it the dance of the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine archetypes within us seeking unity. In truth, every relationship is the psyche's attempt to find balance, to integrate what has been lost. But here's the paradox. The more we idealize another person, the more we lose touch with reality. Projection turns them into a god, and when they fail to live up to that image, as they always do, we feel betrayed. Not because they changed, but because the illusion shattered. That's when true love begins, not in the dream, but in the disillusionment. When you can finally see the other person as they are, not as the vessel of your longing, and still choose to stay, that's when love becomes real. Love is not finding your missing half, it's realizing you were never have to begin with. It's not about completion, it's about recognition. Two complete beings meeting not out of need, but out of awareness. That's why Jung often said that most relationships fail because they never move beyond projection. People fall in love with their own unconscious and call it romance. Let's pause here. Think of someone who once consumed your thoughts. Maybe they still do. Ask yourself, what part of me was awakened by them? Was it my longing to be seen? My desire to be saved? My fear of being alone? The answer will tell you more about your soul than any psychology book ever could. The unconscious doesn't speak in words, it speaks in symbols, feelings, coincidences. The person you meet at a random moment, the one who feels strangely familiar, the one you can't forget. They are all mirrors of your inner landscape. The intensity you feel isn't about them. It's about something in you that recognizes itself, and when the relationship ends, that recognition remains, like a door you can't close anymore. It calls you to walk through it, into yourself. That's why heartbreak can be a form of awakening. It strips away illusion, ego and comfort until only truth remains. In that quiet wreckage, the soul finally speaks. You begin to see how every relationship, no matter how painful, was sacred because it brought you closer to wholeness. Jung didn't believe in happy endings in the conventional sense. He believed in integration, the merging of opposites, light and shadow, love and loss, joy and grief, all parts of the same spiritual tapestry. To love deeply is to open yourself to loss, and yet that loss makes love more sacred, not less, because in the end, what remains is not the person, it's the awareness they awakened. Some people are not meant to stay. They come like comets, burning bright, breaking your patterns, leaving your world illuminated for a while, then they disappear, and you're left staring at the night sky, realizing it was never dark. It just needed light to reveal its depth. That light stays with you, even after they go. So maybe the point was never to keep them. Maybe the point was to meet the part of yourself you met through them, to integrate what they reflected, to stop chasing mirrors and start living as your own light. Love, in Jung's view, is the most dangerous journey, because it demands everything. It dismantles your defenses, exposes your wounds, and then, if you let it, heals you. But the healing doesn't come from being loved perfectly. It comes from seeing yourself clearly and still choosing to love anyway. You see, love isn't a feeling to possess. It's an experience that transforms. And transformation always requires death. The death of the false self. The death of illusion. The death of control. That's why so many fear it, because to truly love is to surrender to something greater than your ego, to let the universe move through you, unguarded, unknowing. Maybe that's why the deepest loves often don't last, because they were never meant to be lived, only meant to awaken. They come as messengers, not companions, and once the message is received, the form dissolves. But the truth remains. That's the alchemy of love, turning pain into awareness, longing into growth, loss into light. So if you're still holding on to a person, a memory, a version of love that ended, ask yourself, what did that experience teach me about myself? What truth did it force me to see? And can I honor that truth without clinging to the form that delivered it? In the silence that follows love, something beautiful happens. You begin to sense a new kind of peace, one that doesn't depend on anyone's presence. It's the peace of knowing that love was never outside you. It was your soul, whispering all along. And when that realization settles, when you no longer chase or resist, love returns. Not as obsession, but as grace. It moves through your life quietly, humbly, like light through leaves. And this time, it doesn't need to be named or owned. It simply is. That is the love Jung spoke of. Not the love of possession, but of consciousness. Not the love that fills the emptiness, but the one that dissolves it. Because when you finally understand yourself, you realize love was never about finding another person. It was about remembering who you were before the world told you what to seek.